guys, it's Khaki. Today I'd like to talk to you about something that can hold you back in your weight loss journey. A lot of times I will hear from people who tell me, I don't know why I'm not losing weight or why I'm gaining weight. I'm journaling my food, I'm hitting all my macros, I'm getting activity, I'm hitting my water goals. What is happening? That answer may be stress. Stress can have a very real impact on weight and on overall wellness. Stress can cause some people to lose weight. Stress causes a lot more people to either gain weight or not lose the weight that they're wanting to. So let's talk about it. What is stress? The National Institute of Health defines stress as a real or perceived threat to homeostasis. Homeostasis is balance. That is the medical term for when things are going the way that they should. So, that stress, your body perceives it as a threat, whether the reality is that it's not a true threat, your body feels it as that. The stress reaction, back in the primitive days, a stress reaction was a good thing and sometimes still can be. If you're being chased by a lion and it causes stress and it causes a release of hormones to help you run a little bit faster, to help you survive. In today's world, stress typically doesn't come from being chased by lions. It comes from family stressors, from our work schedule, from money problems, a lot of things. One way that stress can affect your weight. A lot of people, when they're stressed, don't sleep well. You don't get into that deep REM sleep, or you can't sleep at all. That lack of sleep has been physiologically shown to cause an increase in ghrelin levels. And you probably remember ghrelin is the hunger hormone. I think of it as gremlin. That's kind of the way I think of it. It's that hunger hormone that just says, feed me, feed me, feed me. And it's almost unignorable. So, lack of sleep equals increased ghrelin levels, which increases your appetite. It also decreases your leptin level. Leptin is that hormone that causes you to have a sense of satiety and to not be hungry. So that's a pretty bad combination. Stress, can't sleep, increased hunger, decreased satiety. Another thing that stress can do is stress can cause increased cortisol levels. I think most of us have heard of cortisol. It's kind of a trendy thing. You see cortisol blockers and cortisol supplements, and the reality is most of those are a waste of money. But what cortisol actually does, cortisol is a stress hormone. And when you react to something that is a real or perceived threat, your cortisol level goes up. So what happens then? Increased cortisol makes you feel hungrier. It makes you metabolize carbohydrates and fats quickly. Well, you may think, gosh, well, that's a good thing. Well, the reason that happens is it gives your body a surge of adrenaline to overcome whatever perceived threat or danger there is. But that has two bad effects. It makes you crave more fat and carbohydrates to replace what you've burned. The amount that you've burned is very minute and over a very short period of time. That effect of making you crave increased fat and carbohydrates lasts a long time. The other thing that an increased cortisol level does when you increase the metabolism of those carbohydrates, your insulin levels go up. Increased insulin levels leads to insulin resistance, which leads to a sequela of medical problems: diabetes, high cholesterol, hypertension, increased fat around the middle, which is the most dangerous place to carry extra weight, especially on your heart. The another thing that cortisol does is it decreases testosterone levels. All of us, even women, need to have a certain level of testosterone, especially so that we can build muscle mass. Increased cortisol, decreased testosterone equals decreased muscle mass. And as most of us who have struggled with our weight know, increased muscle mass boosts metabolism and makes you able to burn more calories. So you've got a big sequence of events going on here: stress, lack of sleep, increased ghrelin, decreased leptin, stress, increased cortisol, which equals hunger, which equals the increased cravings for carbohydrates and fat, increased insulin levels, which can equal diabetes, it can equal hypertension, high cholesterol, and build up again of fat around the middle. The another thing that stress can do, I'd say this is true of most of us. When we're stressed, we tend to make poor choices. We tend to self soothe with food. I know I do. And I think most of us who are find ourselves in the situation where we need bariatric surgery, we probably stress eat. And very few people, when they're stressed out, crave carrots. You crave comfort foods that are going to make your dopamine levels go up. Those highly palatable foods that make you feel good in that moment and self soothe you, but lead to problems in the long run. So, what can we do? Stress is something that's not going to go away. There are things, if possible, that you can do to reduce the stressors in your life. One thing is learn to say no. It's very hard for most of us. It's a very simple two-letter word, but it's one that's very hard to say sometimes. We tend to be caregivers and we tend to want to help people. And when someone asks us to do something or when we see a need that somebody has, a lot of times we step up. That makes us good people, but sometimes that makes us unhealthy people as well because we're focusing on other people and not on our own wellness. One other thing that you can do is try to get a little bit more sleep. Try to go to bed a little bit earlier. Here again, decrease your ghrelin levels if you're able to get some sleep. Ask for help. That's a big one. Most of us don't want to reach out, don't want to admit that we need help. A lot of us don't have a good friend or family structure that we feel like we can rely on. This is where online resources can be very helpful. Those communities, those families that you create for yourself. I've talked in previous videos about resources that I have found to be my support system. One example, I've talked a lot about Berry Nation, which is a membership service. I was struggling a couple of weeks ago with a real fear of regain. And I went on Berry Nation and talked about it in their meeting, in a meetup. And it amazed me the feedback and support that I got. And the people who had been through it and were able to give me very real tips. So don't hesitate to reach out. Another thing that is really helpful for stress control is activity. I know that's a pat answer, but when you're stressed, when you think you can't take any more, try to get in some physical activity. That will bring down your stress level, that will bring down your cortisol level, and it's great for your mental health. Another tip, if you've never heard of it, is CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. Sometimes it takes changing the way you look at things. I know myself, I live in a very small town. I practice medicine in a very small town. And I used to really, in a lot of ways, resent it because I never had private time in my own town. If I went to the grocery store, my patients would constantly walk up to me and start discussing their problems. And I would dread going places because of that. And then one day, somebody said to me, well, maybe you should be grateful that your patients feel so comfortable with you that they can approach you. And it was like, ding, ding, ding. I still get stressed. I'm not going to say I still don't occasionally. When I see a patient walking towards me when I'm in a hurry at the grocery store, I think, but it really changed the way I looked at it. The old saying, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, is very true. I would love to hear everybody's experience with stress, how you feel like stress affects your weight. What are some of the healthy and maybe not healthy coping mechanisms that you have used in the past? Love to hear any feedback. I would love to hear any video suggestions that you have on topics that I could cover. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below and I will do my best to answer them. I will see you next Wednesday and I hope everybody has a great week. Bye.